In this Jeep, there is a North Korean military soldier who, frustrated with Kim Jong-un's policies, is attempting to escape across the border by speeding away in the Jeep. It is well known that he either faces death or at least severe injuries if caught. So, what circumstances led to him taking such a bold step? We will discuss this further, but first, let's explore why North Korea is considered the world's largest prison. North Korea is often referred to as the world's largest prison because it has an oppressive regime with strict control over its citizens. Anyone attempting to escape without permission, even from one province to another, is considered a criminal. It is a place where almost every organization believes that North Korea holds the worst human rights record in the world. Men are required to serve a minimum of 10 years in the North Korean military. Free speech or any form of dissent is not allowed, and the media is under strict state control. North Korea's isolation from the outside world makes it extremely difficult for foreigners to enter, and even if they manage to get permission to visit, they are closely monitored throughout their stay, allowed to see only what the government wants to show them. In many cases, foreigners have been killed if they engaged in any activity that went against local laws. As for trying to escape from North Korea, it is an immensely challenging endeavor due to the country's geography. North Korea is bordered by the Yellow Sea to the west and the Sea of Japan to the east. The North Korean Navy heavily patrols these waters, making it nearly impossible for illegal crossings. South Korea, one of North Korea's biggest adversaries, lies to the south, and the border is well guarded. This makes South Korea an appealing option for North Koreans who successfully cross the border, as South Korea considers them its own citizens. Crossing this line successfully can potentially change their lives, but only if they manage to do so alive, given the harsh consequences they face if caught. Please note that the situation in North Korea is complex and dire, and attempting to escape from such a regime is an extremely risky endeavor. North Korea has deployed such a massive military presence along its border that crossing it, even for a bird, requires serious consideration. This video is from 2017 when a North Korean soldier was attempting to quickly drive his Jeep towards South Korea. When the border guards noticed, they fired at him. He abandoned his Jeep and ran towards the South Korean side. However, North Korean soldiers fired multiple rounds at him. Fortunately, he made it to South Korea, but not without sustaining gunshot wounds. After reaching South Korea, he received medical attention for his injuries. Several attempts have been made by North Korean civilians to defect as well, but most of them were killed on the spot. North Korea is often considered to have the worst human rights record in the world. In North Korea, serving in the North Korean military for a minimum of 10 years is mandatory, and there is no freedom of speech. Media is tightly controlled by the state. It is a unique country where even family members of those accused of a crime may also face punishment, like in the case of a 2-year-old child who received a prison sentence for having a Bible in 2009. Following the North Korean government's strict policies, practicing any religion is considered a crime, and it's extremely difficult for outsiders to enter the country. Even if someone is granted permission to enter North Korea, they are closely monitored and taken only to places that the government wants to showcase. Escaping directly from North Korea to South Korea is almost impossible due to the heavily fortified border. There are approximately 750,000 North Korean soldiers stationed along the border, with barbed wires, landmines scattered throughout. Another historical method of escaping is through the northern border, which shares a border with China and extends slightly into Russia. While this method might seem comparatively easier, it is by no means without challenges. North Korea has a limited military presence on these borders, and it's a perilous journey across approximately 1,300 kilometers filled with dangerous mountains and jungles. Defectors and smugglers used to wait for the rivers to freeze during the winter and would simply cross over the ice. This method also worked during the scorching summers when river levels were low. However, reaching China or Russia posed a new set of risks. China and Russia both had military alliances with North Korea, meaning that if they apprehended a North Korean defector, they would hand them over to North Korea. Therefore, escaping to Thailand, Vietnam, or Mongolia, which had direct borders with China, was considered relatively safer for defectors. These countries treated North Korean defectors not as defectors, but as South Korean citizens. They would surrender themselves voluntarily and be sent to South Korea by plane. This allowed them to start a new life. From 1990 onwards, approximately 34,000 North Koreans have successfully defected to South Korea, and they were able to do so because of the support from the Soviet Union. However, in 1991, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, North Korea lost this support, and the United States began to put significant pressure on the regime. As a result, North Korea's situation deteriorated significantly, and many people started to suffer from food shortages. It is estimated that during this time, around 3.5 million people died due to the lack of basic necessities, leading many to consider escaping. Despite the challenges, North Koreans continued to attempt defection. Every passing year saw more people trying to escape, and even after 2009, when the record number of defectors were recorded, the defection trend continued. The high number of defectors indicates the dire conditions within North Korea. Notices were issued, and their number had reached up to 3,000. In 2010 and 2011, the number of defectors was still high. However, at the beginning of 2012, something happened that caused the number of defectors to suddenly drop to less than 50. The person who had ruled North Korea since 1994 had passed away, and it was time for his son, Kim Jong-un, to take over the reins. As soon as Kim Jong-un assumed power, he cracked down on smuggling and those attempting to escape from the country. He installed signal jammers along the entire northern border and increased intelligence monitoring. Barbed wire fences were erected along the border, and military patrolling was intensified. Additionally, Kim Jong-un negotiated with Russia and China to ensure they were stricter on their side. As a result of these changes, it became extremely difficult for North Korean defectors to escape to China. Brokers who had helped these defectors began to charge significantly higher fees. In 2007, Chinese brokers were assisting defectors for around $2,000. But following the increased restrictions, by 2017, they started charging defectors around $1,000. For most North Koreans, whose annual income is equivalent to about $2,000, accumulating this amount of money became nearly impossible. Therefore, since 2012, when Kim Jong-un came to power, the number of defectors dwindled each year. In 2019, North Korea took extreme measures to close its borders entirely due to the first case of COVID-19 in China. North Korea was the first country in the world to completely close all its borders. They did not want a single trace of COVID to reach North Korea. People in North Korea, where about 42% of the population still struggles to get enough food, do not have the physical strength to withstand the COVID-19 virus. Along with this, in August 2020, North Korean military was given the order to shoot to kill at the northern border. This means that if they saw someone entering or leaving China, they would be shot immediately. As a result of these measures, it has become nearly impossible to defect from North Korea. The number of defectors has dwindled to almost none. In North Korea, the punishment for attempting to defect is not just execution. They also use firing squads in public executions. Those who try to make contact with anyone outside or talk to their relatives in South Korea through phone calls are also executed. The world may be watching all of this, but there is very little that can be done. North Korea acquired nuclear technology through the Soviet Union, and this is why even superpowers like the United States can't do much more than impose sanctions. We hope you will like and share this video. See you in the next Factastic video. Thank you.